Okay, everybody, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got the rooting guide now. You guys know that we do this every week. We just take a look at the other games, non-Seahawks games being played, and we try to figure out what we want, if we want anything. Who do we want to win? Who do we want to lose? You guys know the drill. All right, so we got a game tonight, which is why we do the rooting guide today. Eagles versus Giants. And it depends on what you value more. Do you value the Eagles losing so the Seahawks can potentially catch them in a playoff race later this year? Or do you value the Giants being forced into a situation where they have to make a pretty aggressive trade deadline deals with their good assets and turn into maybe even a fire sale, and you want to provoke that? I think we'd rather the Giants win because the Giants are probably going to be a fire sale team anyway, but there's arguments to be made both ways. Back in 60 seconds. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips, and of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so that was the Thursday game. Moving on to Sunday. We got an early game again. Very excited to not watch this, but Broncos versus Jets. There's not a lot going on here, to be perfectly honest. About the best you can say is that if the Jets keep losing, more likely they make some trade deadline deals, if that's something you even care about. The Seahawks probably need to keep winning if they want that to really matter. I don't think they're going to make a trade if they're at the deadline and they're a 500 team. So that could backfire too, right? What if the Jets trade somebody good to a rival? So again, it's not clear. I guess we just want the Jets to keep losing, but it can kind of go either way, and it just depends on your perception of what that Jets team has to offer a team like the Seahawks. Moving on to the not the early morning, but the normal morning slate, the sane morning slate. Cardinals, Colts, pretty obvious here, pretty easy. Need the Colts to keep on chugging, need the Cardinals to keep on falling. This division is going to be annoying enough. We don't need Arizona to get involved here. So Arizona needs to lose and go away. And I like our chances. So looking pretty good here. Chargers, Dolphins. Again, it's just a question of, is there anything on that Miami team you want to trade for? And if you do you trust that would actually happen when there is the alternative of potentially the Dolphins trading to a rival and helping them out? So I guess we want Miami to lose, so we want the Chargers to win, but there isn't much here. And again, it's pretty subjective, to be perfectly honest, and sometimes that's just going to happen. Patriots, Saints, no reason. Well, I take that back. I guess you could say the Saints winning would help strength of schedule and strength of victory. On the other hand, the Saints are an NFC team, and even if you don't believe they're a contender, there's also the trade deadline thing where they've already kind of announced they're going to be a team that is willing to sell their veterans at the deadline. If you want to continue to motivate that, then you want them to keep losing. Now, again, the strength of schedule and strength of victory thing is somewhat compelling, but I still think we're rooting for the Patriots here. Browns, Steelers, again, we're pretty much rooting for the Steelers to win every game they play the rest of the year at this point, or pretty close, because we beat them. And that's a win that's going to be pretty valuable, I think. I think that that's not a win that other teams in this division are guaranteed to get. So at the end of the year, there is some possibility that we end up being able to hold up that strength of victory bonus as something pretty legit. So, yeah, we definitely want the Steelers to win that game. And, hey, the Browns could also be another team that goes into fire sale mode at the deadline. Cowboys-Panthers, little bit complicated here. I think the Cowboys are the bigger threat, so I'd rather they lose because I think that offense is the real deal. Panthers we play, though, so strength of schedule and potentially strength of victory says we should want the Panthers to win. So we got that. And of these two teams, the team that is most likely to be a trade deadline seller would be Carolina. If they lose a couple more games, they probably will. So I guess we want... You balance it all out. I think we do probably want the Panthers to win, but it's not entirely clear. And you're playing with fire a little bit. What if Carolina gets involved here? If they win this game, they're 3-3. That's not a team that's done. That's not a team that you can count out. But I still think that's probably the preferable outcome. Rams-Ravens, not much to say here. Pretty obvious. We want the Ravens to pull the big upset. Not counting on it. Defense is miserable. Offense doesn't have much of a shot without Jackson. But I don't think I need to elaborate on why we want the Rams to lose. Again, a lot to ask, but I'm going to ask for it anyway. And then we get to the afternoon slate. Titans-Raiders. Titans-Raiders. Now, we play the Titans. Strength of schedule, strength of victory. We want the Titans to win games. However, it only really helps us if we beat them because remember, teams in our division, like the Rams, have already beaten the Titans. So therefore, it helps their strength of victory if they beat the Titans win some games, and then we don't beat the Titans. So we want the Titans to win, but understand that we better beat them later. And don't get me wrong, I think that we probably will. I'm not too worried about that game right now, but you got to beat them. Bengals, Packers, pretty easy one here. Packers need to keep losing. They seem a little bit stunned right now. They're in a little bit of a daze. They are coming out the bye week, I believe, though. So it's a lot to ask, but we're going to ask for it anyway because we got to ask for something, right? As long as we're asking for stuff, may as well ask for stuff we want. And if the Bengals want to ride the Joe Flacco Express to a surprise victory, that'd be great because I still think Green Bay has the chance to be a real threat this year in the NFC. But if they keep losing to games like this, it's not going to hold. 49ers versus Buccaneers. Yeah, that's really, really looking for Tampa Bay to help us out here. If Tampa Bay is going to roll into Seattle and beat us, please just win at home against the Niners. This could end up being a pretty important game later in the year. This might be something we look back at and go, this was one of those pivot points where we had a chance to beat Tampa, we didn't do it, and the Niners did, and that makes the difference at the end of the year. Very possible that happens. So, big Tampa Bay fans. We got Sunday night football. We got the Sunday night game, Lions-Chiefs. I don't think I need to spell out why we want the Chiefs to win here, but we most certainly do. Lions have proven they are not going to just fade, which some people certainly thought they would. I thought they'd fade a little bit more than they have. I didn't think they'd necessarily fade away, but Lions-Chiefs, no reason to not root for the Chiefs. And look, that NFC North, we don't want them taking up all of the playoff spots. Okay, now we're going to Monday night. We got Bills-Falcons, so this is the doubleheader, Bills-Falcons. Normally, we would always root for the AFC team to beat the NFC team. In this case, though, I think the fact that the Falcons own or have their first-round pick owned by the Rams supersedes that. So I think we actually want the Falcons to win. Not that there isn't some benefit if they lose, but I think that if you were to put the two elements on the scale, it's more important that Rams pick, the Falcons pick that will be the Rams pick, gets really, really far away from the top 10. And then we got Bears-Commanders, which I think the Commanders are the threat. They've survived the Jaden Daniels injury. They got a win without him. And they played a really good game last week. The Bears, even if they win this game, I won't necessarily view them as a threat. They've got too many problems. too many assorted issues. So if they want to pull an upset on Monday Night Football, sign me up for that. All right, that's it for the rooting guide this week. Let me know if you guys see anything I'm not seeing. Let me know if you guys are considering anything I'm not considering. But that is the way I see it as of right now. So everybody have a good day. Go Hawks. See you guys soon.